Thanks very much. Good afternoon, and it's a pleasure to be with you. Let me see here. There we go. Let me set the stage for the story of the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra. In 2010, our music director of 10 years announced that he was going to step down from a very successful tenure. So we immediately began celebrating what was a great success in his leadership of the organization artistically, and began a search for a new artistic leader. We were looking for fundamentally two things. One is an artistic leader to uphold and elevate what we were doing artistically, all around excellence. And the second was someone open to innovation, adapting, making our organization more relevant to our community. And we felt like we were doing pretty well on the excellent scorecard, but had some headroom with respect to innovation. So 2 years after that, we announced Louis Longray as the next music director, and we were optimistic that his tenure with the orchestra would be an incredibly successful one. Shortly after this announcement, we formed a music director launch committee, the Louis Longray Launch Committee, and pulled together a group of leaders to help us imagine how we would introduce this new leader to our community. And if there was one fundamental thing that we did right in this process, was to engage a number of outsiders who had little or no engagement to date with the orchestra, a lot of external point of view. And in the course of these meetings, one of the leaders made a suggestion, and that was the idea to combine video projection mapping technology with a performance of the live Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, and have this be part of the introduction of Louis to our community. So I called Louis in Paris, and that's really the setup for this first video, which is a before version of an event called Luminosity.
This orchestra has a glorious history. So I think in order to make it alive always, a great institution has to be a great place of experimentation. And the fact that we will try something new is wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling.
So this idea was a great institution has to be a place for experimentation. And when this was filmed, we had no idea whether we were on the cusp of an amazing success or a spectacular failure. But the fact that our new music director would put him in a situation, and the organization in a situation, to take some level of risk, pretty extraordinary risk, because this pairing of this technology and a live orchestral concert had, to our knowledge, never been done in North America before. And we were doing it on a very accelerated timetable. And there were a number of challenges, to be sure, but this event, one city, one historic building, one renowned music director, one extraordinary orchestra. With the dress rehearsal and the two performances, we attracted 37,000 people to Washington Park, that park that you see in front of that building, which is called Music Hall. And Washington Park should really hold on any given night about 7,500 people, maybe 10,000 max. So by night 2 of this, we were closing off streets, bringing in additional restrooms. It was an absolutely wild experience. So let me back up. We had 5 goals for this project. One, as I mentioned, we wanted to launch our new music director, and to do this in spectacular fashion. That was really the impetus of this project. 2, we wanted to bring community-wide attention to Music Hall, that facility, a facility that is in need of attention and in need of a renovation. Third, we wanted to highlight the resident companies that exist within Music Hall. The Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, the Cincinnati Pops, the Cincinnati Ballet, the Cincinnati Opera, and the Cincinnati May Festival, which is our choral organization. 4, we wanted to raise the profile of the arts sector generally, and really arm in arm with all of our colleagues, raise the profile of this sector, which we feel is so essential to the life of Cincinnati. And 5th, promote the redevelopment of the Over the Rhine neighborhood, a neighborhood that has been in a process of really extraordinary renewal, a neighborhood that, frankly, many people had written off despite its historic significance to our city, a transitional neighborhood that really only a matter of years ago people felt really quite unsafe in that area. The result was really greater than anything that we could have imagined. It became a moment when we saw the best of ourselves and we could see the potential of our community. It became more than about Louis Longray, our new music director, or more about the Cincinnati Symphony or any one organization. It became an inflection point for our city. And this inflection point became known as Luminosity, the brand that would capture our intentions for this project. Our team of sponsors, creatives, the orchestra convened to listen to music and dream big. We decided to use light as a metaphor to shine light on Louis, the orchestra, and a city inspired. Luminosity was not just to be an event, it was a feeling. And so this is a city inspired, so the project involved from these goals to meta goals, inspiration, transformation. We generated buzz through many public art installations, storefront displays, as you can see, a street team wearing light suits, glow bands, really simple and actually quite crude projections on buildings. Meanwhile, as we were building buzz, we built the show. Every aspect of the building was digitized in 3D. Digital designers, many of whom had never experienced classical music, immersed themselves in this art form. Our visual and musical teams met regularly. Projection tests were conducted on the facade of Music Hall, setting Facebook ablaze. The results were historic. 863 people responded to our survey. People felt overwhelming pride in the city, the orchestra. They wanted to come back to this once challenged neighborhood. They felt safe. Their appreciation for the arts grew. Perhaps most important, they felt connected with others. And that connection was evident in the social media world. Social media was off the charts. Through Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, over 1 million people were engaged with over 2 million impressions of this event. In the days that surrounded the events, the orchestra's Facebook page was in the top 1% of all Facebook pages in activity. Twitter engagement was consistent with what one would experience at the Super Bowl or the Academy Awards. The comments speak to the impact. Hashtag Luminosity was so cool. Cincinnati is the best city in the world. And by the way, we're taking applications. Hashtag Luminosity made history. The Cincinnati Symphony made this city the hashtag hottest city in America, hands down. I'm so proud of where this city is headed. I had tears running down my face. Again, Luminosity was not just an event, it was a feeling. So I shared with you the before video, and now here is the after video. 2 front page stories later, the Cincinnati Enquirer summed it up as a tour de force of the creative community, a tipping point for the inner city. Suburbanites and urbanites came together. People from all backgrounds came together through this experience. And we think that through this event, an event that involves so many people, so many partners, that the conversation around the arts, around this neighborhood began to change. People began to feel differently about their city. And really, most importantly, they began to feel differently about themselves. Thank you.